Hi guys, I'm Sheila, and today I'm gonna go over a few of the key takeaways that I got from the reading. So first off, I'm gonna start off with Howard Gardner, and he developed this theory that people have multiple intelligences. And this theory was challenging the idea that intelligence can be only measured or easily measured by a standardized test. And so an example of a multiple intelligence from his theory is that there's 8 different ones. So an example would be musical rhythmic intelligence. And the text says on page 2 that when a person is intelligent in this content area, they have the ability to produce, remember, and make meaning of different patterns of sound. So beats, lyrics, making rhymes and poems and things like that. They're really, really good at that. And then we had learned about in the reading about Bloom's taxonomy. So this was a model based on classifying thinking. And so on the updated model, it's this triangle, and at the bottom, it's remembering, and then in the middle, it's applying, and at the top, it's creating. So a person's going to be teaching you all this information, and the student is going to trying to remember it, trying to recall it, and then halfway through, they start applying it, and then in the end, the student can now, with what they just learned and remembered and understood, they should be able to create a new product with it or to come up with a new point of view. So the text says on page 5 that the newer version of Bloom's taxonomy has been used to assist teachers in developing effective learning objectives. And we know how important learning objectives are, so it helps out a lot. And then lastly, I took away the learning approach developed by Lev Vygotsky. I may be butchering his name, I'm sorry, but it's an approach developed by him about learning based on his theory involving social development. So there's 3 major themes to his learning theory, and the first is that social interaction. It's going to be really important when it comes to cognitive development. They go hand in hand together. And then the second major theme is that there's going to be this person that's going to be considered the more knowledgeable other, and it's basically someone or something that teaches you a new skill or concept. And then the last one, which is the important one, would be the zone of proximal development. So then this is about the way that's shown on the graph. It's like, here's a small circle, and that's either you learning something or it's a student learning something, and it's what that person can do on their own. And then there's going to be another circle around them, around that small circle, and it's what the more knowledgeable other can help them with. And then there's going to be an even bigger circle, creating an even bigger distance from that small circle we started with, that says what that person from that small circle cannot do at all, that they definitely need someone's help. And so that's what the zone of proximal development is. From the 3 of these different perspectives on learning, the one that resonated with me the most would have to be Gardner's, because I felt like throughout school, and even in the text it mentions it, schools tend to place more of an importance on linguistical and mathematical learning than they do with any of the other intelligences, which can make students feel like if they're not doing good in either or both of those subjects, that they're not intelligent, they're not smart. And that can be a little bit, unmotivating for them. And I think that it's important to know that, like, just because you're struggling in one content area or both content areas doesn't mean that you're not smart. You can apply yourself to this other content area that you're grasping really, really quickly. And I think it's important for us to embrace all those differences, and that there's a lot of different areas where one could be considered smart or intelligent. So that's the one that stood out to me and resonated with me the most. The one that I would find more challenging for my specific content area would be Bloom's taxonomy, which is it's a little bit, I feel like, ironic in a way, because I feel like this one, as I mentioned earlier, it helps teachers in developing effective learning objectives, but I feel like when it comes to evaluating or analyzing objectives, it'll be a little bit hard for me to teach that to students, especially at the high school level, because once me being like a high schooler at one point, and then also now that I'm in classes observing high schoolers that are in art classes, I can kind of see that high schoolers, since they're at such a impressionable age, I feel that sometimes, especially those that really are into making art, they can put so much of themselves into their artwork that it kind of gets hard for them to step back and critically evaluate their artwork in a way to give them constructive themselves, like constructive feedback, and to either help them with their artwork or to get them to a point where they need to learn that like they should stop on their artwork, because if they continue doing it, then like they're going to get really obsessed with it, and like um to a perfectionist mindset type of way. That's what I mean by like stopping, because sometimes there's perfectionists and they just want to get everything perfect, and you can't, when it's at a high school level, you really can't get that obsessed with it to the point where you don't know where to finish. And you really evaluate and critically think like, okay, when's the stopping point and what can I do to make this better? What can I do to finish it up? So I feel like that would be something hard to teach my students, because it's one thing evaluating and critically analyzing someone else's artwork, but it's another thing trying to do it on your own, especially when you've been so emotionally invested into it. So my question to you guys is that we saw in Gardner's theory, he's challenging the idea that intelligence could be easily measured by a standardized test. And so my question would be, do you agree on challenging that idea, or do you not agree on challenging that idea? Thank you.